Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Bones the Story. Jenn and I have a very special guest on today. She is my good friend Tabitha, and we are here to talk about the transition from popular genre fantasy to romantasy because Tabitha has just been introduced and now has been devouring it. And we thought it would be a really good idea to get a new reader's perspective on romantasy and then just kind of like talk out what I have recommended so far for her. And then hopefully Jenn and I will be able to recommend some new stuff for her. So Tabitha, if you don't mind, will you start us off with telling us exactly what you started or what you were reading before you like transitioned into romantasy?
Well, prior to the Wheel of Time, because I think that was the series I just completed before stepping into that, I did like very different genres, like such as self help and a lot of those things. So, kind of stepping into the romantasy stuff. So, from Wheel of Time, then I read Throne of Glass.
Okay. So was there, how do I say this? Coming from nonfiction to fiction, and fantasy and romantasy are kind of the same, but not. Were there any like things that were keeping you from venturing out of the fantasy? Like what was your gateway from nonfiction to fantasy? Like how did you go from reading those self-help books to be like, oh, let me just pick up the Wheel of Time? That's like a 18 book series.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
good question.
I
I
might be
didn't know it
exaggerating.
was
It might be like
18
14, but
books.
it's less than
14.
20. I know that. Okay, there we go.
Oh my God. So many books.
Well, I
Mhm.
had started reading that series like years back, but then I started school. And then I was really, again, exploring like self help and stuff. But when I was back in school, I was like, I need like an adventure. I don't need, life stuff all the time. So then I switched back to fantasy and I never finished reading The Wheel of Time. And I remember really liking it. So then I picked that up again. But I had this friend, Mistie, who was telling me about this genre about romantasy. And I was like, well, I'm a little rebellious against the romance stuff, but she has a pretty good opinion. She was talking it up. So then I stepped into it. And so far, I love it.
Okay, I'm glad. Jen, do you think starting her off with Throne of Glass was the right move, or should I start with something else?
Oh my gosh. I mean,
I
I
should.
wouldn't start somebody with Throne of Glass.
Oh, okay. I actually kind of like struggled a little bit because she'd asked me multiple times, and I'm like, that's really hard for me to gauge. Like, ask the standard questions, like, what are your triggers or the things that you like that you don't like in books, stuff like that. And I was just like, I don't know, let me get back to you. And I did that like 2 or 3 times. And
Even
then
still,
I think the only reason why I recommended Throne of Glass is because we went to a book swap together and she got the first book. She got Throne of Glass. And I was like, okay, this is a sign. This is what you need to start with.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, that's different. I think that makes more sense in that with that context. But like
Mhm.
to just throw somebody into Throne of Glass as their first like romantasy, it just sounds like a terrible idea.
I want to hear why.
It's so intense once you get to the second half of the series, and there's so little actual romance in the series as a whole. I don't think it's a good representation of romantasy. I think it's a great representation of fantasy and
Okay.
introducing yourself to like SJM's world. But that is such a heavy series for your first like toe dip into romantasy.
Well,
Okay.
I think
I'll
you
give
make
you
a good
that.
point because if I was reading fantasy and I'm getting softly introduced to romantasy, I still got
Yeah.
to have your fantasy element because I do have some critiques about the romance part of the
Ooh.
Throne of Glass. But again, I'm new to the genre, so I don't know if that's how it is across the genre or if it's part of the books. But I kind of saw a little bit in the Bridge Kingdom, but
Yeah. I could nitpick the romance in Throne of Glass all day long. Like I was not a fan. And people will hate me for it, but like Rowan and Aelin are my least favorite.
I love them.
Oh my god, I can't. I can't. I'm such a Rowan hater. I'm in a niche group. I understand, but yeah, I'm not a fan.
I liked them. I think it was some of the I really actually kind of liked the introduction to some of the romance, but what I started seeing throughout the series is that there was kind of the same, I'm going to use these probably wrong words, but maybe like angst or descriptions or whatnot. But I felt like there was a lot of a very similar like description of the scenes. And I wasn't expecting that. I thought that there was going to be some variation. So it's not a horrible
Yeah,
critique. It was just, there was a lot of similarities I noticed.
that makes sense.
Unfortunately, you will see that happen in quite a few authors' works where they will just like copy and paste and like put it in a new setting for romance or sex scenes or things like that. So that is, it's not a standard and it's definitely frowned upon, but some
Okay.
authors will do that and some readers are okay with that or just ignore it or don't pay attention. Jen and I are not those readers. We call that shit out. We're like, no, you cannot do that. If you're going to do that, then just fade to black or close the door. Like, we don't need to see it. We've already read it once. Like, you're taking up space on the page with things that we don't need. So you're okay
So
with
it
that.
sounds like there's a similar critique amongst the three of us then. If there's very similar like romance scenes like throughout the book, then I didn't know if that was a standard because I saw a little bit of that in the Bridge Kingdom. And so I didn't know. I was like, well, we might have to have a conversation about romance or romantasy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any if there's any a time that that is acceptable. And the first thing that comes to my head, if like you go to like a BDS club in a book, you might see like repetitive scenes being played.
I feel like okay. I feel like when you have books that are specifically focused on kink, there's so much less repetition.
That's a good
Okay.
point. That's a good
Because like the
point.
only because that's what that because if you think of my favorite book to talk about,
Side note, Tabitha, that's sarcasm. Okay.
like every kink scene that they did was different. It was all of the other BS in that book that was just copy and paste every single sex scene.
Mm, what book is that?
We're just gonna have to reread it because I don't remember. I don't want to say the name. Jen, you say the name.
It's The Ritual
The Ritual. Okay.
by I don't know her name,
Shantae
Chantel
Tassel.
Tessier. I don't know. ST.
Yeah. Every time I bring that book up, yeah. Best if Jen brings it up because that's her favorite
Arch
book.
Nemesis.
Yes. If anybody had an arch nemesis, it would be that.
Would.
I'm interested
You
to read that
know,
now.
if you read it,
I mean,
Tabitha, I will reread it. We still have to read book 3 in that series.
I still have to read book 2 and 3 in that series.
I'm skipping book 2. I don't care about book 2. I'm
Oh,
at the
okay.
point, total tangent. I'm at the point now to where I'm not even reading things in order anymore. I just don't have the capacity to start, especially
Finally.
I know. I'm just not doing it no more. Like if I'm interested in book 3
Good.
and it's not interconnected or if it's not connected. If it's interconnected, that's different. If it's connected, I'm like, no, I just want to read book 3. I don't care about book 1. That's not what caught my attention. Now, if book 1 catches my attention, I'm reading it. But if it doesn't, I'm over that. I'm over it. I can't do it
Good.
anymore.
Good.
That's just too much. Cause then cause I started looking at my list and I'm like, oh, I want to read this book. It's book 3 in a series. Well, whatever. Or it's book 7 in a series. I'm like, motherfucker, I don't want to read the first 7. So I have all of these books that have all the books listed that I want to read, but they're not the first book in the series. So I'm over it. I'm not doing it no more.
I love this for you.
So yeah. So let's talk about a couple of things that maybe you did like about Throne of Glass.
I liked a lot about Throne of Glass.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, I didn't mind the descriptive scenes and that romance part. Like being introduced to it, I was kind of like, okay. But I think it was almost like just the variation. Like I was maybe expecting variation, but I was going into it with it was pretty good at first. I was like, oh, okay. So it wasn't bad, but it was a little critique. But I loved that book series.
She also did the tandem read with
I did do
Empire
the
of
Like the
tandem.
Storms. The
like the
true.
true tandem ring.
I
I
Nice.
gave her
broke
the
the
list. I
rules a
found
little
it.
bit because there were some things where I felt like the story could have continued in a book without switching. And so I did the tandem read initially, and then I kind of would keep reading, like if it was about the same scene or character in Tower of no
Dawn.
Storm. Is it
Oh,
Tower of
Empire of
Storm?
Storms.
Empire of
It's
Storm.
Tower of
It's
Dawn.
yeah,
Tower
yeah.
of Dawn was the same story the whole time, almost. So I kind of, deferred to Empire of Storm, like with the characters. So, like, if there was
Mhm.
the continuation of that story, then I would continue reading that, and then I would go back to Tower of Dawn. And I actually really enjoyed it. And I hear many critiques about the Tower of Dawn. I also know that it's your favorite,
It
both of
is.
you.
Not Mistie's favorite.
No. I can't stand that
I think the tandem read helps.
book. Okay.
Not that I
I'm
have
gonna do it when
experience
I
with just
reread
reading.
it.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do the true tandem read?
I am. I'm rebinding the two books together to make
Oh, that's
it.
right. I forgot you're doing
Uh-huh.
that.
And the last part that I'm at is getting it printed on the paper, and I'm just being lazy about it. I haven't done it yet because I gotta cut the paper and
No,
do
it's
all the
okay.
things.
A
Yeah.
lot of effort.
But I'm excited to do it. It is a lot of effort. Is at any point did you cry throughout the series, Tabitha?
Ooh, it takes a lot for me to do that. So I
Okay.
don't remember. I know that there was one point in the series, and are spoilers okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or okay. So there was one point throughout the series, and I can't remember which book it was, but it was when Manon was kind of being introduced, and then the Wervins, Abraxos
Wyverns.
wyverns, when they were being introduced, and then they had like the fighting pit, and then they used kind of like Abraxas was used as a bait wyvern, and then you had these like big ones. That one was really hard. I kind of skimmed over that because anytime fake animal, real animal, whatever, if there's animal harm in any capacity, it's so difficult. So that was one that I felt like was really difficult for me to read because regardless if it was a fake animal, a story, it just does something.
I totally
So,
forgot about that.
Oh
yeah,
God, it was awful.
and it was pretty descriptive and
Hmm.
sure it gave a little context to Abraxas' resilience and like him being a warrior but still that suffering, that pain, that harm was difficult. I didn't cry though, but that was probably the hardest part of the series for me.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Misty, as you know, like I don't want to watch like Godzilla movies or Kong movies or whatever, even though they're fake animals because of the harm or the people are being mean or whatever.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. The only reason I bring that up is because I always think that the most impactful, well, there's two impactful scenes. Monin and the 13 always I get choked up. I don't cry, but like that that was hard. And I listened to that part and I distinctly remember being like, what the fuck is happening? Like this cannot be real.
Yeah.
Look, I got chills just
Yeah, that was brutal.
that was because I think she's my favorite character. I think I really want her in Dorian's book. I
Hmm.
would love that.
Second.
Dorian's getting a book?
No, we would
I
love
mean,
for it to
maybe one
happen.
day.
Maybe, probably
Oh,
not.
Probably after we're dead and gone.
Probably it's been what 4 years, and she finally just announced the next book in the ACOTAR series.
Yeah, it was
4
4
or 5?
years. Yeah, because Silver Flames came out. Well, yeah, ACOTAR series. Silver Flames came out. I think it was November 2021 or early
Oh,
2022. One of the two.
yeah, 5 years. 5 or 4 years.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah, because
crazy.
I read ACOTAR for the first time in 2021. I started it in October, and all the
Okay.
books were available. So I think ACOSF came out that fall.
Okay. So ACOTAR, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses, is her other series. So Throne of Glass is Sarah J. Maas's first series. Then she did ACOTAR, and then she did Crescent City. Well,
Yeah.
Throne of Glass is the only one that's complete. I don't think Crescent City's complete, right? I blocked out book 3 because it's garbage. Or is it done?
Uh, she said,
She's gonna do
I'm
spin-off
pretty sure
characters, right?
Crescent's. I think so. I think there's more coming in the Crescent City world, but it's definitely not a focus. I mean, she said that she wants to revisit the Throne of Glass too.
Yeah,
So
but I'll
I
believe it
don't
when I
think
see
any
it.
series, yeah, I don't think any series is completely done or off the possibility of having another book or however many added, because she has like a when they announced Crescent City 3, I think at that time she was under a 5 or 6 additional book deal with her publisher. So, and we only have 3 of those books announced now.
Okay. I didn't know that. So maybe.
Again, this is information from years ago, so I could have things a little backwards, but that's roughly accurate, I think.
Huh. Maybe we will get Dory. I mean, we got. Will you tell us the names of the characters that you remember, Tabitha? I want to hear your pronunciation.
I know there's one that you're gonna laugh, and
I
hopefully
know.
Jen will
I'm
laugh
so
too.
excited to hear it.
I hope that you all do this too, but when you're reading the names and they sound great in your head, and then you say them out loud to a friend who's read the book, it's like, well, I don't know if that's how you say it, but so Dorian for sure, Aelin, Chowl. Is it Cole or Chowl? I don't know.
It's
It's
Kale.
what?
What is
I thought
it?
it was Cole.
She Sarah said in her most recent interview with Call Her Daddy, she said y'all can call them whatever you want. But in the audio version that I listened to, it was Kale.
Huh.
Kale.
I called him
I still like
Cole.
Chowl. Like Chowl.
I like Chow too because I don't like him, so it works perfect.
I think he's an interesting character. I think part of it is that he's got a whole book dedicated to the process, and that's probably like not your favorite thing.
No, yeah. I
What do you think about not Rowan, but thinking about his Conrad?
Lorcan?
Cadre. Yes, Lorcan. Lorcan? Lotion.
Hmm.
Lotion. Do
What
y'all
do I
like him?
think about Lorcan? I
Yeah.
love Lorcan.
Yeah.
He was great. He's 7 feet tall. Of course I like him.
And then I think it's gravel. Gravel. Is it gravel?
Oh, Gabriel?
See, I'm doing great with the name
You're
pronunciation.
doing fantastic.
You you and Misty are like right there together.
Yeah, because he's the one that spends time with Aelin when she gets captured by Maeve, right? Or was that the other one?
That was
The other
Finnis.
one, Fenris.
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 Thank you.
Yeah.
What?
That was a tough scene
Oh, that oh my gosh, I was a mess.
with her binding
Total
him. Yeah,
mess.
that was tough. That whole
That whole like sequence of events for them was awful.
Yeah. Well, and then I think like revealing Maeve's origin, like to me, kind of made sense, but like her intentions, but also like she seemed to want to save the world, but then she was being really destructive and harmful. So that whole story was kind of interesting. I wasn't a huge fan of her, naturally.
yeah.
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 I
And
remember
then,
listening to her backstory. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say that I remember listening to her backstory and thinking, because I think I read ACOTAR and a bit of Crescent City before I ever read Throne of Glass. And I remember thinking, I'm like, Sarah has such a way of making you, or at least for me, like empathize with her villains. Like
Mm-hmm.
she gives them such robust and like trauma ridden backstories that it's just like, oh, I kind of see where you're coming from, even though you're a total bitch and deserve to die.
Yeah, that's why I think it's really interesting with that whole character context. Like I did not find that to be really interesting because it's not just I've got this agenda and I'm trying to like fulfill my thing, but really she was trying to escape, the homeworld, whatever it was called. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting because again, there's more context to like becoming a villain than just being mean.
Right. Yeah. I think Sarah does a really good job with that, with her villains, especially in Throne of Glass.
Yeah. Or the king guy. Oh, it's Irwin.
Oh,
Dorian's
yeah.
dad?
No, so Dorian's dad was like kind of the second person I thought, but the king, like after Dorian's dad died, Irwin was the one in the that had the
Yeah. What was his name?
Irwin.
Misty, when they're at the compound where Caltaine was held. That king,
Oh, okay.
but I could not say the name to save my life right now.
I thought it was
That's the dude that she slept with, right? To try to get married? Or he tried to
Parrington.
marry
Yeah,
her?
I think he was
Yes.
Parrington,
Yep.
but he was actually the Vouch King.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally spaced that out.
I wouldn't have remembered it if Tabitha hadn't brought it up. I completely forgot that was a thing.
Yeah.
Erawan. Erawan.
Yeah, Erwin. I mean,
Yeah,
Is that
either
her
or.
cousin?
that was her. So Maeve was married to Erawan's brother, who I guess was worse than Erawan. And so I guess the two brothers got stuck in the Valge world or something previously. And so she, I think, was trying to, I don't know, get in good with Erawan to meet her agenda towards the end. But I guess that was supposed to be her like brother in law.
Huh. I really am gonna have to reread this.
Yes. I
I don't
thought it was
remember
a
any
great
of
first
that.
series for get stepping into that world.
I'm glad. And so now you're the second set of books that you are reading,
Mm, mhm.
the Bridge Kingdom duet.
I finished last
That's what I
night.
recommended her next, Jen. You finished book 2 last night?
I did.
Yay, that's so exciting. What did you think about that?
I really like those books. It's not a series, right? Like if I'm just reading the two, like you said, it's a duet, but I really liked those two books. I thought the concept was really interesting about the setting and like the maps. I know we had a previous conversation about my critique of the maps within the first book. The second book, I think, gives a little bit kind of deeper dive into some of the spaces, and then I can kind of understand the context. So, like, hearing how, oh my gosh, his name,
The main male character,
yes, Aaron,
Aaron.
Aaron, kind of seeing how he and his kingdom have adapted to the entire like bridge life, and they use the storms and they have all of these like kind of safety mechanisms. Like it was just really interesting, really descriptive. And then of course I'm learning about these terms, enemies to lovers kind of thing. So I'm and then so anyways, it's been really interesting kind of seeing some of these terms that Misty uses often, and then I've been asking her questions about like angst and like not sure really sure what like smut is, and so I'm asking her as I'm reading these books if all of these things are part of that, and so we've had some kind of debates about them, but I think I'll have more questions the more series I read.
Yeah,
I love
definitely.
that. before we move on to talking more about the book, Jenn, how would you define smut? Because I struggled with giving her this definition. I hate that
Can
word.
we just ask Google and just use whatever they say? Because here's the thing.
I don't think Google
And
has a definition.
I think, and we've kind of talked on this before. In my opinion, the definition for smut is very, oh my God, what is the word I'm looking for? It's based on perspective. So, like, for me, I've read everything up to like literal literature erotica. And that is like the smuttiest of smut. It's literally called erotica. But for someone who has not read any spicy books, their level of smut may be like Elena Armas is a really good contemporary romance reader that does a decent amount of spice very, very well. Or like some people will say that ACOTAR is smutty. For me, those do not qualify as smut. There's just not enough spice. There's not enough variation. There's not enough kink. But for somebody who doesn't read quote unquote smut on the regular, like the smut connoisseur I am, then I feel like the barrier for smut is a lot lower.
So it sounds like smut, you had mentioned variation, like spice. So there's got to be some kind of like amplification of that type of energy, variation, and then potentially like kind of heavy and intense with the sexual description and like
Yeah.
interaction that's happening in the book.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is so well said.
Yeah.
She's
Okay.
a word wizard.
So I got another book at this book swap, and I haven't read it all the way. I think I got to page like 11 or 20, but it's called The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, I did not recommend that to her. That was not me, okay? I said, hold on. We have to gradually ease her into it.
Run.
Jenn and I haven't even read it, okay?
So my next question was that level of smut. Is that like, anyway, but I haven't read it all the way.
So the Claiming of Sleeping Beauty came out so long ago. Like it came out before smut was cool, before like erotic literature was socially acceptable. So it is, especially for its time, pushes the boundaries of every written erotica type. I'm struggling with words, obviously. I feel like it really pushes the boundaries of what is socially acceptable even today
Yeah.
because there's so much, and I mean she's literally given away. Like it's very non-consensual at least in the beginning.
Hmm.
And I think that's where you start going into like very smutty dark romance, and that's like a whole different sub niche of I mean anything romantasy, romance, contemporary. I mean it's a whole little
Next level.
community of its own. Yes, exactly. Yeah. 'Cause, I mean I was interested in reading the book, and I think I got, maybe I don't even know if I made it to page 11, and I was just like, oh wow, this is intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, and since I haven't read the whole thing, like I don't know about the variation. I mean, obviously, I don't know if there's like spice. There's spice for it's seemingly like for both people in some kind of way,
yeah.
but we'll see. That might be something that I come back to way later after I've had some more exposure and recommendations from you both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we could definitely recommend some better series books to dip your toe into like darker themes without reading that one.
Yeah. I was like, this one's going to have to probably pause for a little bit. Let's do the romantasy.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you were talking about the description for smut, the first book that came to mind that I think did it really, really well in like the variation, like it felt like every scene was a little different is Lights Out.
Okay.
I feel like the spice was done really well. Like, it's not overly done. Each scene was a little different. Some scenes were kinky, but it wasn't repetitive. And that's one of the things I loved about that book.
Who's the author?
I'll give you that.
Navessa
Navessa
Allen.
Al.
Would you agree,
Did you
Misty?
read? Yeah. Now that you're bringing that up, that's not where my head went, but
Which one did you think of? Like, what book popped in your head when?
honestly, no book popped in my head. But as you were talking, I was like, oh, she's gonna say there are no saints, and then you said Lights Out, and I'm like, oh, okay, that works
Oh, there are
too.
no. Wait, Sophie Lark's book?
Yeah, because there was a lot of variation in that. But I feel like that has that's going to be heavier than Lights Out.
It's going to be a lot heavier, and I feel like you didn't get any like really good smut scenes until the very last
Mm-hmm.
scene. Everything else was
Okay, good
pretty
point.
tame on the sex side for that book up until literally the last scene, and then she blew it out of the water. One of the best sex scenes
I'm
I have ever read.
I'm trying to think. Hold on, now I feel like I gotta pull up the.
Yeah, you do.
I do somewhere. Let's see. Let's look at the Bones reading list. Did you read or listen to Lights Out, Jen?
I listened to it.
Okay, yeah, that was an audio one for me too.
And again, one of the best audio performances I've heard.
Ever
Yes.
in
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Besides Kingfisher or besides Quicksilver, that's one of the best. I'm thinking, what about Unholy Vows?
Maybe. I feel like their sex was pretty boring. I mean, it was just in different locations.
Okay, fine, I'll give you that.
That's the only variation.
Yeah, it was like in the gazebo, in the car, in the bedroom, in the library.
In the bathroom.
Well, so that's another thing. Like, so I feel like with Rowan and Aelin, their stuff was really interesting because I know it's a, again, fantasy element, but like their magic, like that variation was pretty
Mhm.
cool. And how like they
Yeah.
had similar but different, magic styles. And so like, especially the one on the beach, like that was really
Yes.
descriptive and really interesting. And so different places, like obviously for me probably not as interesting, but I know all of the romance stuff isn't like magical, but I also like build. So if there's like books with
Yes.
build, which I don't know if there's a term for that, is that angst? I'm guessing.
Mm,
Getting sexual tension, chemistry.
Okay.
What do you think, Misty?
I thought you were talking about development.
Like,
Are you talking about build for like the couple or build for like the story? Because I think
Build
that makes a
for the
difference.
couple. I mean, I like build in the story and
Okay.
like variation of the story, but especially like I'm thinking from the romance side of the reading. I think if there's like a build, which I think, Misty, you have some terms like enemies to lovers, there may be a little tension there and whatever, but
Uh-huh.
especially when it comes to like the sex scenes or whatever, like kind of seeing that.
Foreplay. So
Sure.
I think chemistry
Yeah.
is really good. I think tension and angst could have both a positive and a negative, especially if it's like enemies to lovers. So that angst or tension could be seen as negative. But for us who love that trope, it's woo, just one step closer to getting what we want. I think chemistry, yeah, foreplay, flirting, sexual tension. I think chemistry. I think you hit it right on the nail, Jen. I think it's chemistry. But those also trickle in and play a part depending on the story and the trope.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hmm.
I'm an angst whore. I love angst. I want you to be pulling and tugging and like ripping my soul out.
Mm.
And I cannot tell you why.
This
I
Because
can't
resonates
tell you
with
why I love
you.
it.
because you're a
I just
masochist.
love. And then when they finally get together, oh, I just love it. I love it.
I need chemistry. Like,
So,
I don't need angst. I need chemistry. I cannot. And I think I think that was part of my problem with Rowan and Aelin is I never felt connected to their relationship or their chemistry. It felt
Mm.
very not surface level because obviously their connection is like, I mean, it's an unbreakable bond, blah blah blah. I just never liked them. Like we just, I don't know, their chemistry just didn't do it for me for whatever reason.
So, in the context of that, I think one thing that's sticking out listening to you is I remember when she left and she was going to get trained by him. So, she was in Darnell or wherever the Fae
Mm-hmm.
live. And then I don't know if she was about to burn out, but then Aelin started staying with Rowan. And so there was this sweetness that Rowan was um, showing her, caring for her. And so that was kind of the turning point for, I don't know if that's chemistry, right? But I see that as being like endearing, and he was trying to care, protect, and he was concerned. And so to me, that kind of shifted my view of their relationship because there was some sweetness to it, even though
Mm-hmm.
they were like, we don't like each other, you know? So I don't know if
Right.
that's chemistry, like what you would call that. But to me, that's when I was like, okay, this is getting a little sweeter. This might go somewhere. And so that was
Yeah.
kind of nice. That's probably not
They're
angry.
not on the page a lot as a couple, are they?
Not really.
Do they even
But
have sex
again,
in that
because,
book?
yeah,
They
a
do?
couple of times. Yeah. Tabitha just said about the beach sex scene.
I
That
think
was them?
Yeah.
yeah. And they
Yeah.
have
They
it
had
on the
sex on the
boat.
beach?
Yeah. They have sex on the beach. They have sex on the boat. They have sex in a few other places. They have sex in her apartment, I think. Or no, they're waiting. They wait for a long time throughout the series
Yeah,
because
they do.
yeah, so but once they start doing it, the first time I think was on the beach.
I don't remember them ever being intimate.
Yeah,
Because
I
it
think a few
wasn't good.
times.
Except for the beach scene. That one was good. Listen, the only scenes that stood out for me as far as like spicy scenes for Throne of Glass was the beach scene is really good. Probably would not have mentioned it had you not though. The one that I always think of is when Manon is in, I think it's on a boat and she's chained to the wall and Dorian uses
Dorian.
his shadow hands. Holy crap. Give me that scene all day, every day, please and thank you.
Yeah. I figured you'd really
Oh,
like that
damn.
scene because you like Manon, and then there's kind of this power dynamic between Dorian and Manon. So Manon's used to kind of being more dominant, but then Dorian's like, "Nope, I am," and then it
Yeah.
was like complete.
So, I don't know if I told you this, Tabitha, but when I read Throne of Glass, I read all of the books in like 6 days.
You probably missed a lot of detail, Misty, with your fast reading.
I listened to it. I listened to it when I was at work, and then I came home and I read the library books because we were meeting for book club. I still love it. Obviously, if you listen to the podcast, you know I don't fucking remember shit when we read these things. But I also have a history of skipping sex scenes because while
Yeah.
I love romance, I don't always read the sex scenes. I skip quite a lot of that. Not because I'm a prude or anything. I'm just like, okay, I'll normally read like the first sex scene, maybe the second one, but then after that, I was like, I already know they like now. I just want to get to the other stuff. So I now that you say it, like I have a scene in my head, but I don't know if it's because I remember it or is it just because you just told me. So yeah, I got nothing.
Sounds like that one's going up on your reread list.
Yeah, definitely.
With everything else in the world that I have to read. Okay, let's kind of trigger back to Bridge Kingdom really quick. Now that you've kind of read that, so now you've read a series, a Romantasy series that is 7 books long. That Jenn did kind of point out that there's less romance and more fantasy, and now you've kind of read this duet with Lauren Aaron, whatever the fuck his
Laura
name
and
is. I don't
Aaron, it's okay.
Aaron.
I'm here.
I
Thanks,
know.
Jen.
Thank you. Which is kind of the same thing there, but there's still some love aspect because it's an arranged marriage.
Yeah,
What do you think about that kind of like transition? And did the papers fucking bother you like they did me? That's the real question I want to ask.
absolutely. Oh my gosh. That was hard. So the papers, she thinks she covers her tracks, but we as the reader know that she didn't all the way. And then it was hard to focus on the story because it's like, what happened with this paper? Did he send it? Did he not send it? Is it in enemy's hands? Is it going to be used against her? And it's like she's doing all these things. She's having these realizations like this paper. It drove me crazy, but thankfully I talked to my wonderful friend Mistie, who also conveyed that the papers drove her nuts. And so that gave me a little bit of peace, knowing that it would shift at some point. So I think I was able to reframe and immerse myself in the story, but it was difficult. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I guess I was going to say that their relationship, and I really like these strong female characters, like the assassin, or, trained to, I don't know, do all these things like physically, mentally, strategically. And there's kind of this level of respect between both books and their pairings or their partners. So I like that kind of thing, to where they're equal, but even though they don't know, but they're both really strong and they both have their own strengths. Those scenes in there, especially when they go to their outside like oasis bathing area and then they come back in, like that one was a really good one too. I think that there was a little bit of foreplay in that one, and then there was a build, and then he kind of again withheld. And so I thought that one was pretty good too.
I think one of the things that I love about Danielle's writing, and for those that don't know, it's Danielle L. Jensen that wrote the Bridge Kingdom series. She creates these little moments in her books that leave you on the edge of your seat. Like it's almost like she gives you anxiety to just let you hold on to until it's finished. Like there's no like, it'll be fine. You're like, is it? And she's like, I don't know, maybe.
The
Maybe
papers.
not, no. Yeah, I've read a couple more of her books, and that's pretty par for the course for her. Is she just has these couple like life-changing, altering, ending moments, and she's like, that might blow up in their face, or not. We'll find out later. I'm like, damn it, Danielle.
And
Yeah.
it seems like that's a cool thing, but for me as the reader, it's very hard.
Hey, at least it was only 2 books.
Yes.
Imagine if it was longer.
Yeah.
I would skip ahead if
That's
I
the
could.
one thing I like about her writing too. They're all, for the most part, duets.
Yes. And I think with her craftiness of, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before to either one of you, is that she made an inanimate object, the papers, a fucking like main character, but not like really a main character. Like she like personified it as this living, breathing thing that's just hanging at least over her head, over our heads, and we're just like, oh,
Serious.
Love you, Danielle. You're the best.
yes. And she just announced her new duet. So
oh
the first
my
one,
gosh, that looks so cool. I'm so excited.
it does look really good. She just announced it last week or this week. The first book comes out in November. I just want to know when the second book comes out, because I'm not reading the first book until the second one's out.
Completely
I will never
agree.
read anything that's not completed by her because of those fucking papers. Okay, I just can't. I won't. If I had to wait after reading that second book,
yeah,
I would. I'm still ranting about it, and I finished it. So just imagine. Okay.
You rant about those papers how I rant about the ritual.
Yes, 100%. Stupid fucking papers. Okay, so my last question. Now that you've kind of read these 2, are there things that you really, really like and would like to see in like the next series or books that you read that will help Jenn and I kind of potentially suggest new things? Like what, or you just want it all?
I think I really like staying with the fantasy element, because I think fantasy in general is kind of like my favorite genre, and like sci-fi fantasy for like, film and stuff like that. So I really like that genre, and I think that's going to help, because sometimes and Misty, I think you and I've talked about it, but sometimes the real world things, like I've got an adult, and sidebar, I started reading the Fae Isles book last night. But I was asking Jenn, right before we started the discussion, like, is this kind of a fantasy book? Because it starts off with her doing like accounting. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. So I'm like, I don't know. This seems too adulty. And so I'm only like, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
5 or 7 pages in. So I had to confirm fantasy. So I think I want to stay with fantasy because after getting that little glimpse last night about her doing like this adulting task, I was very
So
unsure about
funny.
continuing.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love that so much.
Because I like adventure, and if I can like step into stories that don't have like the normal day-to-day things, right? Like,
Yes,
a
yeah.
time without technology or like society like that we have today, but like you're walking across like different landscapes and you're running into people and you've got these like kind of weird mysteries or anyway, I kind of like that type of thing. So maybe less real world. So continue with the fantasy stuff, I think, unless you have another example that's not fantasy, but also not real world, where there's accounting at the beginning of the book.
No, the Fae
I love
Isle
that so
series,
much.
Jen fell in love with it right away. It took
Yeah.
me a minute to
Okay.
fall in love with that series. But before I even fell in love with the series, the magic system in that world is one of the best magicism,
Magic
one of the
systems?
best that, thank you, one of the best that we have read.
Yeah,
Okay.
hands down.
So I just need to
One
get
of the
there.
best. Yeah. And sometimes with the fantasy, because like I'm thinking like High Mountain Court, Jen, like they still, even in fantasy, they still have to like eat and like make money to buy the food or go to the tavern or like go on their quest or whatever. So sometimes those little elements will pop up into that, but I don't even remember her doing that. I just remember her being there and arguing with her parents because she did something wrong. And then stuff happens. I don't know how far you're in and I don't remember how far it goes in.
She's
Like
prepping
I
for the
don't
festival. She like made her dress and she's listening to her parents fighting while she's doing all this like number crunching or something. So haven't made it very far.
I do think that it's important though because as you learn things as the series goes on, it does kind of help. Right, Jen? Or am I making that up?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it helps to understand her backstory, to understand some of what happens later. I wouldn't say it's necessarily like imperative to
Pivotal.
read it. Yeah,
Yeah.
like if you started once, well, I can't tell you that because you're not there yet. Well, I feel like it's not far at all into the book
I think we can
that,
say this cuz she's Tabitha's sort of okay with with spoilers.
Yes.
When you're flying away, I think that's a good spot to start.
yes, yeah. Yep, that's what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
gonna say. I was gonna
Which
say the
isn't that far
fire,
off. The fire, yeah.
which is, yeah, I would say you would have to start at the fire
Fire.
because then you get your first glimpse. What the fuck is that word?
Well, I'm almost assuming that you have to do it before the fire because she's the reason what she does is the reason why the fire gets started, right? And she
Mm-mm.
gets to fly away. Well, I mean, when I know about the orders, right? But the reason why she gets to fly away is because of what happens before the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So she has to read the first part.
I can get through it. However,
Wait.
I was like, this doesn't feel very much like fantasy right now.
It will. It does get there. It does. It does. I'm so glad that you started it. That's was the oh, sorry, Jen. What?
I pulled up the book, and
What?
I'm seeing what you're talking about. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
It's
page
so far in the
23.
beginning
Yeah.
that once you get into maybe that's why I struggled with it. And I didn't even know. It was really real
Yeah.
world at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. It's very, yeah. So page 23-ish, probably closer to page 21 or
Oh,
2.
I
That's
would have
when
probably been
things
bitching
will
by that
start.
time.
That's when things actually start rolling.
All right, I'll look
Okay.
forward to page 22 or 23.
Okay. So
If you can get through
you
chapter 2, if you still don't like it, then you don't have to continue with it.
Usually, if it's
yeah.
fantasy, I like it. Again, this just didn't start out that way, so that was my apprehension.
Yeah.
But if it starts getting fantasy like, then I'm sure I'll like it because I just love that genre.
It
Yeah.
does. So we have Throne of Glass, we have the Bridge Kingdom duet. Now you're reading the Fate Isle series. Jen, any other suggestions we should throw out there for her?
Oh.
She prefers completed series,
Yes.
so
Same,
ACOTAR is off the
because
table.
Let's see. Where's my list? Plated
You have
Prisoner
a list?
series. Yes, I have a list.
Why don't I know
Plate
about this list? Why hasn't this list been shared with me?
because your list is like 150,000 times better than mine.
Oh, I don't think so. Plated
I'll send it
Prisoners.
to you.
Okay, that's a good one.
Plated Prisoner
That was
series by Raven Kennedy. I would like when you read it, I would reread it because it's the last two books in that series are probably the best finishing books I've ever read in a series. Period. The end. Like absolutely incredible. If you're looking for something, if you're looking for something funny, spicy, and you're not going to take it too seriously, A Ruin of Roses by K.F. Breene. I read it more as like a parody of Romantasy and into it like that, and I loved it. It was super fun. It has some heavy topics, but it's not a high, in my opinion, it doesn't feel like a high stakes romantasy, and it's just a fun read.
Okay.
Deliciously Dark Fairy Tales is the series name.
Oh yes,
That's a good
thank you.
one.
I forgot
You're
about that.
welcome.
And then for a standalone, the Spell Shop, especially if someone who like you're not big on like spice and smut and that kind of thing, the romance is super super sweet,
Hmm.
but the rest of the story is just enchanted fun. Like it's a really really sweet book. I think it was one of my top 5 6 last year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have Emerald Lakes and Bonds That Tie.
I think that might be too modern for her. Now that she's mentioned that.
Yeah, that's true.
Thanks, Misty.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I know. I had that same thought with Neon Gods. It might be too modern. That whole
Oh yeah,
series.
that's way too modern. Modern.
Martin.
Modern.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are the ones that are on my list. I know I have others.
Would you recommend the Shepherd King duet?
Oh, yeah, that was so good. Yes.
I haven't read that yet.
Yes, I thought you read it for book club.
I missed that book club meeting because I hadn't finished it. I'm like on page like 10.
Oh my God. It was so well done, and it was well done in a way that is so different from anything else we've read. Like
Okay.
I really really enjoyed it, and I really really loved that it wasn't another ACOTAR, it wasn't another Fourth Wing, it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
another any of that. It was its own entity, and that's one of the things that really sets fantasy or romantasy books apart for me now.
So, if the Shepherd King duet set your bar differently for fantasy books, does it set the bar
Read all of the other ones first.
That's what I was asking. Like, would I have too high expectations to enjoy some of these other reads?
No, I don't think so. I think that's why I liked the duology is it was really really well done on its own.
Okay.
Like it's not okay, so this may not make any sense to anybody else, but books like ACOTAR, Throne of Glass, Fae Isles, even, like when I think of those books, my brain gives me like soft pastels. It gives me maybe some like dark reds for like those darker themes. It's like kind of shiny and bright and fun. And then when I think about Shepherd King, I get like muted reds and grays and like shades of black and just all of this like not angst, like tension and curiosity and like constantly thinking on my like what is going on, what is happening next, what does that mean, like it's so well done completely on its own.
Sounds like it's very engaging and it kind of pulls you in.
Yeah, yeah.
So, is it going to be one of those things that I can like put down and sleep, or am I going to be stuck losing sleep because I'm going to be reading all night?
I don't know. I am not a person that can stay up till like 2 3 4 o'clock in the morning and read. I'm just not. So I was fine going to sleep. But I really like my sleep.
Well, I do too, and that's part of the question. And so I'm normally an early sleeper, but sometimes if these books are really good and like I hyper focus, or I'm really curious, or I'm, then it's like 3 hours past my bedtime. And it's like,
Yeah, well, no, I completely understand what you're saying, because that's why I have not wanted to start Quicksilver. Both Mistie and
mm,
my friend Christy, that's funny, have like been begging me to start this book, but I know I have not had the space, because I need those, like, if I need to stay up till 10, 11, 12, I can without wanting to die the next morning.
yeah, okay. Yeah, it's pretty solid. So maybe try to like prepare my time appropriately.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
In my defense, because I listened to the audio for Quicksilver and Brimstone, and that's what I recommend, is listening to the audio.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was able to knock, because I think they're like 11 or 12 hours, right? They're not that long.
Well, but this is the problem. If I'm at work trying to listen to something, for something like
Okay,
that, I
good
need to pay
point.
attention.
Good
So
Yeah.
then
point. Good
I
point. Good
only
point.
have
Yes.
like a couple of hours after work, and then I have 100 things to do.
Okay. Fair point. Fair point. Fair point. I stand corrected. Fair point. Okay. Well, anything else that I want to touch on?
This has been delightfully fun, and I'm very excited about the list of reads you all have gifted.
Yay!
Yay! We'll definitely have to have you back on to like track your progression. And who knows, maybe you'll end up on the dark side like Jenn. It just took her a couple of years, and now she's thinking cowboy romances are boring. So
I told that to Tabitha when we got on and we were hanging out. I was like, yeah, Misty's corrupted me. I listen to my cute little romance now, and I'm just like, this is so boring. So thanks for ruining books for me, Misty.
you are so welcome. Thanks for going on the journey with me, Jenn. And thank you, Tabitha, for coming. We really appreciate you being a special guest and talking about your journey, because it's definitely something that obviously you can see that we're passionate about, because Jenn has gone on this journey as well to dark romance. So who knows where you'll be in like 2 years.
Yeah.
This is exciting. I'm so grateful that you all offered. And yes, I'm getting my toes wet, and I'll probably be stepping to the darker side. It just seems like this is what happens when Misty's around. And now I have, Jenn to influence me. So it should be exciting.
I'll make sure Misty doesn't throw you into the deep end.
Thank
There
you,
you
Jenn.
go. There you go. All right, Jenn, it's all you.
All right, y'all. We hope you enjoyed this special episode of Bones of the Story with our guest Tabitha. If you have a book that you would like to recommend, let us know. Tag us on Instagram at Bones of the Story, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on the journey into the shadows of love, where dark romance stories come to light.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Bones of the Story as much as we did. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us.
And to stay updated on all things dark romance, follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We'd also love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, ideas, or even your own dark romance stories with us. Drop us a line at bonesofthestory@gmail.com.
Remember, our next tantalizing episode is just around the corner, so keep your hearts open and your senses sharp.
Until then, embrace the darkness and let the stories continue to stir your deepest desires.
This is Misty
And Jenn,
signing off
from Bones of the Story.